You're watching this week's show with Dan and Mike.
This week's show.
It's Dan and Mike.
And we are buzzed. We've just come back from Bowling for Soup.
Yeah, side of stage action, interview action.
We interviewed together. That's not something that we have done very much.
We haven't done that for a while, have we?
No, I mean, I think
it's a novelty.
Count on one hand the times that we actually did away from the Real Life Rockstars podcast we did a few years back. Because most of the time we're each other's cameraman. So shout out to our manager.
Camera person.
There we go. That's about the most that we can get her on camera most of the time, but she is awesome. Make sure that you remember that. A lot of this is thanks to her. Anyways.
So yeah, we're buzzed from Bowling from Soup. That
so
was
much fun.
That was cool.
And Wheatus,
Yeah, Wheatus. And our good friend, Mr. John Mahon.
Shout out to him, and if he's done what he said he would when we were chatting, I might even have his logo this time to put up. John, if it's not there, it's on you, mate.
Well, I said it to him as well, and he saved it to his home screen. So,
but the reason why, if you don't know who John Mahone is, he's a really world-class DJ, radio presenter like us on Kerrang.
Yep.
And just one of those people that if you do the press circuit like we do, you'll always run into him. He is everywhere. He is busy man.
Or is it that we bump into him everywhere because we are busy men?
I think that also is the case. But this is a man, I genuinely, the first time I saw it was one of the best moments, I think, at a festival. The pink denim, black metal, crossover, battle jacket, bright pink denim, but with the proper, and it's done so well. And that's just one of this amazing.
I remember that one because I've still got the scars from the spikes off it where I gave him a big hug and he's a muscly dude.
Yeah.
He hugs really good.
Yes.
When not in a
spiky thing, yeah. Because your leather jacket's fine; they're not sharp. But the battle jacket, that's the one he uses to potentially ward off predators. You know.
What are you saying about me?
Not that you are. He was trying to hug you.
I've got the mark of a.
So yeah, that's what we've been up to over the last 24 hours. We're actually going to do our deep dive the way that we did before, based on what we did last night. So we're probably not going to say too much more about the bowling stuff.
But I think you can guess who we're going to be deep diving.
Is it obvious? So yeah, album club.
It is. It's our monthly album club.
And I'm so psyched because both me and you, when we came up with the classic poll that we got a lot of answers for, thank you very much, watchers.
Yeah, so we've both come up with an album each. And
not necessarily one that we like, just something we think is deserving of a classic.
Something that came out in the first 2 decades of this millennium.
Yeah, before the Panny D.
Yeah. And then our manager throws a curveball into it, and it goes up onto our socials. So follow us at Mike James Rock Show, at Mike James Rock Show on everything.
Yeah, everything. And we put the poll up a bit late this month. That was on me, but we've already actually decided next month's album club. So we're going to be polling this for the whole month before the episode, making sure that we give everybody a chance to actually vote on it.
So stay tuned because we'll tell you what the albums are after we've unlocked the door to the album club.
And voting and the comments counts. So if you just say which album in the comments for next time, that will count. So yes, stay to the end.
And whilst you're doing that, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
And all of the stuff, blinky blonkies.
And please tell your friends about us.
It makes doing stuff like you saw last week to ourselves much more entertaining if we know that
someone's watching.
Yeah, someone's watching, and somebody might even suggest the next thing that we do. So
yeah,
got a couple on that front. And also back to John Mahone, he might be joining us in the future for something like that because apparently he likes sweet stuff. That's
he likes sour stuff.
Sorry, sour stuff. That's his vibe.
I want to see what he's like on the Steve-O hot sauce because when I said that I did that to and he was like, "Oh, dude!" I was like, "Yeah, it's great."
Well, we also not going to say who, but somebody last year did say that when they've got the time, they're going to come down and go absolutely crazy and put hot sauce on a sour sweet. Yeah, so we're still working out.
That might have been mentioned on a past episode.
Yeah, so we're going to have to work that out when we do that. So anyway,
shall we
unlock
the album club doors?
So this is. the first one is either chosen because Mike's a bit more prepared than me when it comes to stuff like this. So you chose very much the album that you wanted to review.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is review an album each that has come out in the past 4 weeks that we've probably played the lead single on the show, the radio show, Mike James Rock Show, again on your favourite streaming platform.
Yep, and
Mixcloud.
Exactly, to our radio show. It's got the interviews that we talk about here as well, like the full thing that you can come across and check that out.
Both interviews are up.
Yeah.
For your album and my album.
They are indeed. And the reason I say that I'm not the most prepared in the world is Mike knows that I struggle with dates of things. I always have. So he gives me a couple of ones that he knows have been released within the time frame of the album review.
Yeah, I do. I do all the admin for the radio show, so I know when the things are.
You're pre-prep. I'm post-prep. You know.
That's it. Yeah. Preparation and
production. So what have you got this time round?
I think that's just between me and the doctor, dude. No, I went for an actual band that you interviewed last year at Download. Funny enough, Alt Black Era with Rave Immortal.
I'm not surprised that you went for that.
It ticks every box for me. It's angsty. It's got teenage bravado.
It's funny.
It's got some proper substance to it in the lyrical content as well.
Yeah.
And it's also got some banging beats. The two ladies that front the band write
the music,
and produce and it all. If they didn't sing, they could just produce D&B rave tunes and go out as DJs.
Yeah.
I was listening to it earlier and I was just like, they didn't sing or they only had minimum, like one-liners like they do in dance tracks or MCs do. It would work well there, but
they would still be good.
There are tracks on it that I think kind of remind me of if, say, Lady Gaga fronted Seething Akira or Lady Gaga fronted Prodigy.
Yeah.
That kind of, it's got those dirty beats to it, and then it's got some heavy ass riffing over the top of it.
Yeah, and they've got such personality as well, haven't they?
And the good thing is, I noticed, I've listened to it quite a few times because I'm a bit of a fan, but I noticed that they've got something that a lot of bands don't actually have, and that's sibling harmonics.
Because of similar genetics.
It's like the Bee Gees. They can all harmonise at different levels.
And if you live with somebody for your entire life, then that ability to work on stuff is just, it's incredible. I'm really, really chuffed that you're enjoying it as much. I will hold my hands up and say, whilst I did the interview and it was one of my favourite of the year, it's not
guess my age.
It's not strictly like my style of music, so I would have
thought it would be though, because you're into those kind of.
I think
Akira, Prodigy, live action bands, but all bands are live.
The thing is this is part of the reason that we do the show, is you're actually selling me on putting the time aside to listen to it properly, rather than did what I did, which is have it on in the background and pay no attention to it whilst I did other things. Because I think we're all a bit guilty of that. It's like you go for an album checkout and then you're like, wait, I'm on track 10 and I don't remember anything about it.
That's the... Yeah.
So this is why we're doing it. Is you are convincing me that it's worth doing a playthrough from start to finish.
Very much so. Yeah.
And I took Mike's recommendation for mine because there's a few similarities in the fact of good interviews.
Oh, one I did a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
An hour before the album came out. Now, both these albums, by the way, came out on the 24th of January, 2025.
Yeah, so we didn't intend that.
No.
And of course, talking about VUKOVI. And My God Has a Gun is by VUKOVI is the one which I got recommended to me by you. You had a couple, but you said that this is the one I actually need to sit down and listen to.
Yeah, well, I just gave you a list of bands that have released albums in the past 4 weeks since our last album club.
Exactly. But the reason why this one was so important to me is, one, not only has he had great interviews, I've had some of my best interviews of my career with these guys. Like, there's a very early one which I believe we actually took down because all of us were very early in our careers, but it was one of the most fun things that we've done. So if you ever watch an interview where I'm chatting to them, the reason why we're like that is because we've always just giving each other like pretty much hell in interviews.
Wasn't it the very first time you interviewed them? You were like, "Please welcome Welsh band or Irish band VUKOVI," and Janine
So they're
like,
Scottish, obviously, for people that don't realise the joke here. And in the UK,
really broad as well.
yeah. And in the UK, it's just like it's the thing that you're either English, Scottish, Welsh, or Irish. There's not a huge amount beyond that. So when you introduce them deliberately from the wrong country, and I did it so deadpan, like I do most of my sort of interview jokes, that it takes her a second to react, and then
she reacted.
And then she reacted.
And then the subsequent 3 or 4 times you interview them, you go, "Remember me? No. Remember when I introduced you?"
No, they remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, they do remember that. Jesus. I've actually, on the last interview, I saw that sort of, their faces fall a little bit when I did it again. So I was like, okay, I've done that too many times.
Flogging a dead horse.
Yeah, 100%.
We could do a montage.
of moments where I just grind an interview to a halt by accident. But we're not doing...
just with VUKOVI.
No, with quite a few people. I mean, he does like to stitch me up. So there's been times at Bloodstock where I just have no idea what I'm doing. But the thing is,
Not
is the
just
way,
a Bloodstock.
the way that we interview is I'm not looking to know what I'm doing. I want them to talk to me about their band. I want them to introduce me. I want them to sell me on their product, sell me on why I should be interested as a listener.
Just like I did with Alt Black Era.
Yeah. So, it's not even one of the popular singles, but the one that stood out for me on my album was Up.
That's the one I said. If you go back onto the interview, it's the one I asked them both, Hamish and Janine, what's your favourite track off the album? And they both went, ooh. And Janine fired back, what's your favourite one? And I was like, well, I do have one, but I can't say it on the radio. It's the one that's got Cut in it or something like that. Kit.
Yes.
Yeah, the one that's got Kit in it. You could... Go and have a look on the streaming services. You'll know it.
I didn't actually swear. I said 3 separate words that all sound like swearing if you put them together.
Yes.
But that was my standout.
Did you count how many swears there are in this album?
I did not. I was busy setting up the studio whilst I was listening to it.
Okay. Well, I know this because Janine told me in the interview.
Yep.
46 F-bombs.
And that is very Limp Bizkit style, to count the amount of...
I think it's twice as many as Limp Bizkit had in that one song.
But it's good to know how many times that you swear in an album. But obviously, go back and check out the interview, because part of the reason why out of the list he gave me this was the one, was knowing what went into this album from Janine particularly.
It's got some dark lyrical content in it for sure, yeah.
So a lot of purging of mental health as well as moving towards the sort of positive reflection and stuff like that at points.
Yeah. Might be worth clipping in a bit of the interview where she talks about going through therapy and stuff.
Future Dan, edit it in.
Yeah, I think when we were writing the album, I started going to some quite intense therapy.
Okay.
So I got like 12 sessions through the NHS, and that was, I very much underestimated how hard that would be. So I think this album is almost like a journal of the ups and downs of that.
There we go. Just about here.
Yeah. So that's why when I listened to Mike's interview, because often I don't get a chance to necessarily listen to his interviews before we do the show, but I was like, I'm definitely going to listen to the VUKOVI one. And yeah, it's one of those, like, there's so much music that relates to me as a dude in rock and metal, because there's a lot of dudes talking about stuff in rock and metal.
There is, yes.
I love the fact that this wasn't for me, so it educated me.
Okay.
Like there's a lot in there that is helping me understand things that I may not understand, which is part of the reason I like Conquer Divide as well. Like their lyrical content, it's very different to what I've had for years, and I just like to try and understand the world around me.
Well, that's why I like the Alt Black Era album, because the lyrical content is, the girls are very late teens kind of thing. So when they were writing it, they're probably like 15, 16, bedroom writing, and it's got the sound of like an urban town kind of thing. That they've got that kind of angriness that you'd expect to hear from sort of like trap music or grime, or they've got a track with Delilah Bond, which I thought
Very cool.
which is cool. I don't think it's on the album, but like Delilah Bond's on there, up there with the same sort of new wave of female-led rock music from the UK, and they're destroying it at the moment because you've got like Cassiette and Delilah and the Nova Twins, and you know they're all just raising their games up and helping each other out and supporting each other, which is what we're all about anyway. So
and helping people like us understand what other struggles people go through that we don't necessarily go through ourselves. That's
being mindful of each other.
Exactly, and that's why it's worth sometimes listening to something that isn't necessarily, I'm calling out all the guys that sort of don't necessarily listen to this stuff, knowing that there's stuff to listen to there. It's worth doing.
Educate yourselves, guys.
Yeah, that's why
Save gigs for women.
I was going to say that's why we associate with them.
That's one of our sponsors on the radio show.
Yes. Shall we get on to your
Mine? Oh yeah, because I won, didn't I?
You did win.
I won the poll, so I thought I'd dress up for it. Have a guess which band won the poll between Adele, 21, Avenged Sevenfold. What was the name of the album? I didn't even
City of Evil.
City of Evil, and of course the winners, Five Finger Death Punch
with American Capitalist.
The original pressing, because we listened to it yesterday, me and you in the car to bowling.
Yeah.
And you put on the deluxe and had remixes, and
that was quite interesting.
That was cool, yeah.
I would if I had known about the remixes a bit more at the time, I probably would have dropped them more in a DJ set, because a lot of them are really targeted to have that sort of dance ability, which is one of the reasons why when he did win the stakes, I was actually quite pleased. Like, genuinely love that album. We were talking about how like the Pride, the track found me a few years, like probably a good 5-10 years after it was released. It just came up on my YouTube recommended like 3 or 4 days running, and in the end I was like, you know what, this is not just a banger, this is a banger that requires a lot of listening to. But you're actually, out of the two of us, the Five Finger Death Punch fan.
What gives that away? This was the album that really, a lot of people were known and they were already an international touring band, but this was the album that launched them stratospheric.
Put them on the map.
Yeah, by the end of the tour cycle, they were like festival headliners for some festivals, and they were doing the big arena tours.
Also, it was the one which sort of really cemented their place on like the American military USO circuit.
Yep, they did that as well. It's just an all-round. We were saying yesterday that there isn't really a bad tune on it, and it's hard to say. Well, yeah, but if you listen to the album from start to end, it's got a good flow, and there's a nice break in the middle for I Remember, which is an awesome ballad about parental life and stuff.
We were saying actually that Ivan Moody really does the balance of manly to emotional incredibly well.
Yeah, I think that's why like the military and they're definitely a guy's band. If you don't want like,
you don't. Well, actually, I say this. Both Bowling and Blink 182 both have gone across, and but I think there's just something very for the target audience at the time that American Capitalist was coming out,
2011.
Right. I think at that point there was a need to have like a certain balance of manliness with the emotional, which without even trying, they got with Ivan's voice. You commented on how crisp and clean the drumming is as well.
The drumming is like pounding.
Yeah, and the guitars as well. Like I remember being introduced to Five Finger, the album before. Way of the Fist, I think it is.
I think so. Yeah.
And I like, to me, that's almost like Five Finger Death Punch does metalcore by comparison to American Capitalist.
Oh, American Capitalist is very much geared towards getting the tracks played
radio rock.
Yeah, on Sirius FM and all the major radio stations, not just rock stations.
Yeah.
It's the kind of, I wouldn't say dumbing down of rock, because it's not at all. If they elevated their sound and just made it bigger to be able to fill arenas, and for people to go, when they put the radio on, they go, and that was Celine Dion, next is Five Finger Death Punch, and you turn your radio up as you're cruising down the road, kind of thing.
And we have, like, we're radio presenters, that's what we've done for 18 years. I have no problem. I have no problem with people gunning for that market, because if you don't have gateway and crossover bands, then what are you doing? You know?
Every band that has now played or is playing big arenas and headliners of festivals, they've all had a dabble at having a commercial album.
Even Lamb of God.
Yeah, Lamb of God. I was thinking like Korn have done it, even though they've done a song saying you want a single.
Bullet, we talked about, they tried to do a commercial radio rock album for America and it didn't quite hit the way it wanted. But there's nothing like, this isn't selling out people. Like, bands need to make money to come back and play your hometown.
Yeah.
Like, the way that this all works is you do want to sell your music. You do want people to buy it. Not just because of the money. There's all of the emotions attached to getting messages out there. But the idea is also to make enough money that, one, you can like self-establish and stabilize make it your full-time job. Yeah. But people like Five Finger, the amount of acts that they've brought with them over the years, because Five Finger got to a point where they could choose who came out with them on tour.
Yeah. Well, we saw them with Avenged, didn't we? They did a joint headliner here in the UK.
Exactly.
Immense.
And that's the reason why some bands go for that audience, to bring that crossover in.
And In Flames were the opening act on that.
Yeah, that was In Flames in their commercial era, because he had started singing naturally and wanted to carry it on, and then they wrote some absolute like sort of arena filling bangers, which was very different to the melodic death metal that we had at the start of their career. So yeah, like the reason I like bands like Five Finger, I even like Nickelback. Just putting that out there, I like Nickelback.
Someone has to.
Again, I defy you to watch a show of those guys and not have like the best time.
Well, they've got that documentary out now, haven't they? So you know, if I'm really bored, I will
watch a Nickelback documentary.
Maybe so.
And as their PR once said to me, he's like, they know obviously what their standing is. He's like, but genuinely, he's like, with how much those guys have made it and can just live as the band and just focus on being the band and for the people that do like them, they just don't care about the bad press on the internet.
Well, I think that's the same with Five Finger. It's like
they got through theirs.
They got through that. Ivan definitely had his struggles and very public struggles after this album, and the band. I think this album's the band at their strongest for a while, because after that, Ivan kind of went off the rails a bit with how much pressure there was put upon him from going from a world touring band to a world headliner band. It's
not even that, but it wasn't that long from when they were just starting as a band.
Yeah,
was it in LA that they started?
I think it might have been.
Because that may have been where they just recruited Chris Cale. Because I know that he was.
No, he's from Vegas.
Vegas, sorry.
Yeah, I think they're all from Vegas.
Sorry, in that case, I got the L's wrong, but Las Vegas. I think they were put together there. As in, like, whoever the founding members of the band went and recruited the other people. I think it was all in Vegas. And that's why also American Capitalist makes a lot of sense. If you're from Vegas and that's the world that you're used to.
It's either that or the Killers.
Yeah.
There's quite a few bands now coming out of Vegas. It's, you know, it's got that little hub of...
Well, you know how to be a showman if you're from Vegas.
You'd hope so.
Yeah.
But I can't see Ivan and the rest of the boys wearing tail feathers and burlesque outfits.
I mean, Ivan has done stranger things.
He has.
Yeah. But shout out to him, by the way. He also completely recovered publicly.
Yes.
And made a lot of people sort of aware of what that struggle is like.
Alcoholism mostly, and narcotics, and just the trappings of a meteoric rise to fame. We've seen it happen in multiple genres for multiple people. It's just the way it is. Some people are just not designed to
handle it straight away.
Yeah, be able to deal with this straight off the bat. It's one of I heard the other day, actually, there's some charities that are working with musicians to understand the trappings of fame and the pressures that go into putting on a huge arena tour and stuff.
And then the pressure of walking off stage after being connected to that many people as well. I happen to know a little bit about it because Matt Healy from the 1975, he's talked about like how he needed something to fill the void after connecting with that many people. It took him years to find something healthier than some of the things that he's very publicly been on.
We've done it on a much, much tinier little scale, but we've DJ'd local club nights and things like that, and We go on at like midnight,
Have the best time.
have an absolute blast for an hour and a half, and you're pumped up on sugar or alcohol and Red Bull or whatever you're on, and then you leave the club at 1:30, 2 o'clock, and you're like, it's dark, it's cold, I've got to go home.
Try and shut down the brain after that experience.
It's really hard to do. So,
And we have like tiny things to compare it to when we're talking to somebody like Ivan.
yeah, and we don't have to travel possibly 300-400 miles
the
over.
transient lifestyle is on top of everything else. Like your tour bus, which also gets taken away from you as well if it's a rented one.
Yeah.
You can't even go back to the same tour bus you had before.
No.
What I was going to say is we should probably wrap this up so we don't go too overly long.
Yeah, because I'm kind of fanboying now about Five Finger.
But there are 2 Five Finger stories that I think just need to be covered before we
Oh,
go.
let me guess, the ones where cut out.
That's one of them, and the other one
Yeah.
is a much better one.
Well, the one where the microphone cut out, I managed to get the entire band minus Ivan because he was only doing the majors.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. He's the front man of the band. And it was the most amazing interview. I was kind of knelt down between the other 4 guys, put the microphone up like this to get those 2, and I was getting tickled by Chris Hale's beard, which wasn't so long then. It was, I was still getting tickled by it. And yeah, we giggled and laughed, and we came away from it going, that was the best interview I've done at Download. That was amazing. I can't wait to. Oh, I can't hear it. The microphone's cut.
And
Footage looked amazing.
And the photo as well, like promo photo, just like everybody's happy, like all of the band loved him, and it wasn't even one of those that we could do anything about in those days. We had such terrible equipment in our first couple of years.
Just gotta roll with it. Poop happens.
Yeah, but on the flip side, the year that Ivan was refusing to get off of Download stage.
This was the year you went there, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was my very, very first Download I covered, and Five Finger were on sort of the main stage, I'd say 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And Ivan's one of those guys that wants to shake hands with everyone that crowd surfs over, and then he's like, oh, come on up. And people were coming up on stage, more and more people were coming over, so they shut him down. Yeah. Which is health and safety, I can understand that. But it was the last song as well. So.
But this was pre-Prague.
It was
what happened to Randy Blythe.
Yeah,
so.
it was definitely pre a lot of things like that.
So we know better now.
I was just sat in the media area waiting for my next interview, and I was sat next to like the next table, as close as you are to me, was back then in the day, there was MTV2 Rocks.
Yep.
And we were just chatting away to the 2 presenters there. And they had a little banner up that said MTV on it and stuff. So, and Ivan literally just stormed straight off stage, missed all the backstage area, and came straight into the media area. And just, I don't know what happened, but he sat next to me, and so I had a microphone and just ranted at me for a good couple of minutes. But then he, I think I must have put him at ease a bit, and he wanted to drag me and my girlfriend at the time off to go and see Megadeth. It's like, let's go and see Megadeth. It's like, okay, Ivan, yeah, okay.
Because did he actually sit in any other interviews, or did he just did he disappeared again?
He disappeared again. He came in, ranted at me. We had a good giggle. I think he relaxed a bit, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm not MTV, but at the time we were on a little FM station in Exeter.
Fantastic.
I don't even think you were like.
I was
fully,
doing.
You were
turning up what I wanted.
A hanger on.
Yeah, turning up what I wanted at that point.
You were the guy that went whoop whoop in the background.
Occasionally, like genuinely, for the amount I talk now, it would probably surprise most people to know I didn't talk to begin with because I was too nervous.
But yeah, that was a good interview.
Yeah,
and that was my introduction. I think that was literally, it was the Friday of Download, and possibly my second interview at a major festival ever.
Ivan Moody.
Yeah.
Angry off of stage.
Yeah, but by the time the interview was over, 3 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, something like that, we'd calmed him down, and he wanted to drag us off to go, me and my girlfriend at the time, drag us off to go and watch Mega Dave, as he called him. We didn't go because I had an interview booked.
Shame.
It happens, but in that interview, which was, I want to say 2010, 2011, something like that.
It's one of those, yeah.
One of the questions was like, oh, so when are you coming back to finish the set off then? He said, I'm coming back to headline this thing.
Ooh.
That was over a decade ago. So, Andy, come on.
Well,
They're headlining all around the world elsewhere.
If the audio has survived, I might even track some of the audio into this, because I think we kept a hold of that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll play a little bit of it just so you can hear what Ranty Ivan in like 2010 sounded like coming off a stage.
You've literally just download a new ring. How was that for you?
It was great up until the point they tried to cut our set, man. I mean, these kids paid hard-earned money for these tickets, and I really wanted to see them have a good time. And I wasn't trying to like install a riot or anything, but you know, I'm just asking them to come and shake my hand, and all of a sudden it's like, you guys are cut off, and it kind of pissed me off, man. I mean, we did this last year. We opened up the main stage,
yeah, man,
and we lived an entire year just to get back here. And today we were just waiting for it.
Last year, it's university, you know that you probably were one of the highlights of the whole show for last year. And to come back and be higher on the bill on the main stage.
Well, that's the thing a lot of people don't see is how hard we've worked to be out here, you know, and then to have them cut us short like that, it's kind of pissed us off, dude. So,
is it somewhere you want to be next year, even higher on the bill, do you think?
You kidding me? I want to headline this bastard.
It was cool.
Cool. So we said about introducing next month's classic, and that you guys get a chance to vote on next month's classic.
Yes, we're on our socials, so search out Mike James Rock Show.
On anything. Or you can just lay a comment on this, tell us which of the albums we're just about to mention that you want to see reviewed next album review show.
So, classic albums from the first 2 decades of the millennium.
Yeah.
I went dark.
You did?
I went real dark. I went for Behemoth and the Satanist.
I went a little bit...
Like.
A little bit lighter, but not that light. I went for me, what was a return after quite a bad album, quite a bad documentary, and quite an interesting time for the band that we all know about, so I'm not going to say any more than that. It's Metallica with Death Magnetic.
Oh,
yeah, so the return of the thrash sound after the confusing years.
But also very different in styles between
Behemoth.
Yeah, whereas the only difference in styles between Avenge and Five Finger at that time of those albums, the only difference was Adele's 21.
Yeah. And on that note, I'm just going to thrust the microphone so you can hear her voice at our manager.
Thanks. My choice is Suburban Legends, Dreams Aren't Real, but these songs are. You guys are going to love it.
There we go. So that's the Suburban Legends with the Dreams Aren't Real, but these songs are.
So we've got Metallica
with Death Magnetic.
We have got Behemoth with the Satanist, and we've got Disney with Light and Fluffy.
Yay!
So, but if it wins the poll, we will listen to the album, we will review it. I'd even sort of said Adele was going to be quite a fun one for us to go through as metalheads.
I listened to it all day when I was rolling in the deep.
And so you can get us to review any one of those 3. Anyway, we should wrap up and see everybody next time.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay. Toodles.
Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell before you go.
Ping!
Thank you for watching this week's album review show, where we covered VUKOVI, Alt Black Era, and the classic that was American Capitalist by Five Finger Death Punch. Such a lot of fun doing these shows. Genuinely gets us as presenters more engaged with the more recent albums, and gives us a reason to go back and listen to something. So as we just announced and we've just seen, you can start voting in the comments for the next album review show. We have a little catch up coming up next week, and then we're going to deep dive the week after into quite an interesting back history that we have with a particular band. So make sure that you catch all of that. Find us on your favourite streaming platform, either for the podcast or our radio show. And not only that, you can come across to social media. Anyone that you're on, if we have an account, just search Mike James Rock Show and you'll find us. And we tend to put up silly bits and bobs that you may not have caught on this. So look after yourselves. See you next time.